Ever listen to a song you've heard a million times and suddenly, bam, it hits different?
Totally
Like
right.
the emotions cranked up all thanks to a killer instrumental or some background vocals that give you chills.
Yeah, yeah.
We're about to jump into the world of the people who make that magic happen, music arrangers,
They're the sonic architects you don't always see.
but you definitely feel their impact. And get this, we've got career guides, interview advice, even a peek into how AI is changing the game for these musical masterminds.
It's like peeking behind the curtain, but for your ears.
Okay, but what does a music arranger actually do? I mean, they're not writing the song from scratch, right?
Think of it this way. The composer is the songwriter, the one with the initial spark, but the arranger. They take that spark and turn it into a full-blown fireworks show.
So like taking a simple folk song and arranging it for a whole orchestra.
Exactly. Or picture a pop song you love, maybe something you'd hear on the radio. An arranger could reimagine that same song for, say, a jazz big band. Horns, walking bass line, the works.
Whoa, so it's the same song at its core, just dressed up in a totally different sonic outfit.
Precisely. And that's where their artistry shines.
Yeah.
They're crafting a whole sonic experience, often for specific instruments.
This is making me hear music in a whole new light. Okay, so say someone's totally hooked on this whole arranging thing. What does that path even look like? We've got the music arranger. The complete career guide feels like the ultimate playbook.
Right. And it's fascinating how it blends the creative with the, well, business of music. It dives into the different spaces arrangers work in recording studios, concert halls.
Even home studios are a thing now, right?
Huge. And that changes the game, too, you know?
Okay, gotta ask, what's the difference for an arranger? Is it like cozy slippers versus fancy studio headphones?
More like control versus collaboration. You know, home studio is great for independent artists, total creative freedom, but maybe a bit isolating. Professional studios, though, top-notch equipment, working directly with musicians. But there's definitely more pressure, tighter deadlines.
Trade-offs, trade-offs. It's like any career, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of navigating the music world, this guide really stresses the importance of specialization.
Specialization.
Yeah, like you could be an arranger who does a bit of everything, sure. Or you could become the go-to person for, say, orchestral arrangements of pop music.
So finding your niche, like, oh, you need a string quartet to make that ballad epic. Call this person.
Exactly. And you know what else this guide dives into? It busts the myth that all you need is musical talent.
Because that's definitely not all, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, knowing your way around an instrument is essential, but it's just the starting point.
It's just the beginning.
You've got to be a master of orchestration.
Hold on, orchestration? That sounds next level.
It is. Imagine knowing exactly how a flute will sound alongside a tuba and a harp. That's orchestration. It's about understanding the unique voice of each instrument and blending them to create this cohesive, powerful sound.
So like being a chef who knows how to combine ingredients for the perfect flavor?
Yes. Now add to that understanding different musical genres, jazz, classical, electronic. Oh, and a mastery of arranging techniques themselves.
This is serious musical muscle we're talking about. So it's way more than just talent. It's dedication and, dare I say it, a bit of business savvy.
You hit the nail on the head. And the music arranger, the complete career guide, even maps out this potential career path you might start as an assistant, learning the ropes.
Ah, paying your dues.
Exactly. But over time, you could be leading your own projects, maybe even shaping industry trends.
Wait, shaping industry trends. So like an arranger could be the one who makes a certain sound popular again, like that retro synthwave vibe making a comeback.
Totally. And the guide talks about the business side, to negotiating contracts, understanding royalties. All those things influence how an arranger gets recognized, compensated.
Because even musical geniuses have bills to pay. This whole career path sounds amazing, but also kind of intimidating.
That's why the guide stresses continuous learning. The music world's constantly changing.
Especially with new tech popping up all the time. Speaking of, we got an elephant in the recording booth, AI. Our sources from RoleCatcher touch on this, and it's honestly kind of blowing my mind.
Right. It's no longer just about showcasing your musical chops. AI is being used to analyze job descriptions, even for creative roles like arranging. It's crazy.
Okay, break it down for me. What does that even mean?
Let's say a job posting's looking for an arranger who understands, and I quote, modern cinematic soundscapes.
Okay.
AI can break that down, connecting those buzzwords to specific skills an arranger might have.
So instead of just saying, I'm good with music software, an arranger's resume needs to get super specific.
Exactly. Knowing how to use specific software, understanding certain composing techniques, AI helps connect those dots for potential employers. It's becoming essential for arrangers to navigate this techie side of things.
So even getting noticed in the music world is changing. That actually segues perfectly into our next section, which is all about nailing those job interviews.
Oh yeah, time to polish those resumes.
Our sources actually include sample music arranger interview questions, which I always find super helpful.
It's like having a cheat sheet for the job hunting game.
Totally. Let's dive into some of these questions and see what we can learn. The first one is a classic, what inspired you to become a music arranger? Seems simple enough, but there's definitely an art to answering those getting to know you questions, right?
Absolutely. You want to come off as genuinely passionate about arranging, but also show you understand what this role is. It's not just about loving music, it's about appreciating the craft of arranging.
Okay, so instead of just saying, music is my life, an arranger should talk about a specific moment that sparked their fascination with arranging.
Exactly. Like I remember reading an interview with this famous film composer who said, hearing an orchestral arrangement of a pop song made them realize music could tell stories without any words. That's the kind of detail that sticks with you.
That's a great example. It makes you realize there's a story behind every arranger, and those stories are probably just as diverse as the music they create.
It really is. It's not always about their own artistic vision, though, is it? There's this whole other side of collaboration, especially with clients.
Right. Even when you're super talented, this isn't just you jamming in your basement. There are deadlines, expectations.
Totally.
And sometimes you gotta make someone else's musical dreams come true.
Which brings us to another interview question from our RoleCatcher stash. How do you ensure that an arrangement meets the needs and expectations of the client or artist? This one's all about communication and understanding.
So it's like active listening, not just to the music itself, but to what the client is hoping to hear.
100%. It's about asking those key questions up front.
Mm-hmm.
What are they trying to achieve with this arrangement? What kind of vibe are they going for?
Are there any instruments they absolutely love?
Oh, for sure.
Or can't stand? Because I'd imagine some clients have strong opinions.
Oh, totally. A good arranger will present different options.
Okay.
Maybe some rough musical sketches, just to get everyone on the same page sonically.
Like giving them a taste of different sonic flavors. Do you prefer this arrangement with a dash of strings or a sprinkle of extra percussion? I love that.
Exactly. And throughout the process, feedback is key. An arranger who's open to notes, willing to make adjustments, that's a sign of a true professional.
Makes sense. Happy client, happy arranger. And speaking of keeping things running smoothly, our sources also dive into the whole deadline thing.
All right.
Because I'd imagine in the music biz, things can get pretty hectic.
Oh, absolutely. There's this whole other layer of project management that arrangers have to master.
Okay.
And wouldn't you know it, there's an interview question about that too.
Hit me with it.
Can you describe a time when you had to work under a tight deadline?
Okay, this is where I want to hear those studio all-nighter stories, coffee fumes, and sudden bursts of inspiration at 3 a.m.
Right. Well, it's not just about sharing a war story, though. A savvy arranger will use this question to demonstrate their ability to stay calm under pressure, to prioritize tasks, and still deliver killer work when it counts.
So it's about showing that you're not just a creative spirit.
Right.
You can handle the practical side of things, too, the business of music.
Exactly. The Music Arranger, the complete career guide, is full of tips on this.
Oh, really?
Using project management tools, breaking down a complex arrangement into smaller chunks, even setting realistic expectations with the client from the get-go. These are all crucial.
Because nobody wants to be that arranger who's constantly missing deadlines or sending out panicked, it'll be ready soon, I swear, messages.
Precisely. And you know what else helps avoid those last-minute scrambles? Staying current. The music world moves fast, and our sources emphasize the importance of keeping those arranging skills sharp.
Because imagine being that arranger stuck in a musical time warp, still using the same sounds from decades ago.
Right. Luckily, there are tons of ways to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Attending industry events, immersing yourself in new music, even if it's outside your usual genres, experimenting with the latest software and technologies.
So basically, being a music arranger is like being a lifelong student of sound. Always learning, always evolving.
Exactly. And sometimes that evolution involves finding creative solutions when your vision and the client's vision maybe clash a little.
Ooh, that sounds juicy. Is there an interview question about navigating those potentially tricky waters?
You bet. This one goes, How do you balance creative freedom with the needs and expectations of the client or artist?
That's a tough one. Because you want to stay true to your artistic voice,
Right.
but you're also there to serve the music and the client's vision. It's a delicate dance.
It really is. And it might mean incorporating your style in subtle ways or coming up with creative workarounds that satisfy both parties.
Like being a musical diplomat, finding that common ground where everyone feels heard and the music still sounds incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of finding the perfect harmony, let's talk about working with vocalists.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that adds a whole other layer to arranging.
Oh, for sure. Because you're not just arranging music, you're arranging for a very specific instrument, the human voice. And everyone knows singers can be, shall we say, particular.
They have every right to be. The voice is so personal, so expressive.
Yeah.
And luckily, our sources anticipated this with the question,
Okay.
how do you work with vocalists to create arrangements that showcase their strengths and abilities?
Okay, so this is where an arranger needs to channel their inner vocal coach.
In a way, yes. Understanding the singer's vocal range, their preferred style,
Right.
even their personality,
Yeah.
it all plays a role in crafting the perfect arrangement.
It's about making the vocalist feel confident, comfortable, and ready to absolutely kill that song.
Exactly. It's about more than just hitting the right notes.
Right.
It's about capturing the emotion behind the music.
Which reminds me of another crucial aspect of arranging,
That's that.
balancing the technical side with the emotional impact. Because you can have all the fancy software and equipment in the world,
Sure.
but if the music doesn't move you, what's the point?
Couldn't agree more. And thankfully, our trusty sources address this too with the question,
Okay.
how do you balance the technical aspects of music arranging with the emotional impact of the piece?
Okay, hit me with those insights. How do arrangers walk that line?
It's like that old saying, music is what feelings sound like.
Hmm.
And arrangers, they're the interpreters, you know? They use their skills to translate emotion into something you can hear, feel in every note.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So how do they actually do that? Do our sources give any examples?
They do. It's about understanding the story the music is trying to tell, like where are the moments of tension, the points of release. An arranger might use dynamics to evoke specific emotion.
Dynamic.
Yeah, like a crescendo building to a powerful climax, or different instrument combinations. It's all about painting those sonic pictures.
So like a delicate heart melody for a wistful moment, then bam, the whole orchestra kicks in for a triumphant finale.
Exactly, drawing the listener into the emotional world of the music. And sometimes that means experimenting with unconventional sounds, pushing the boundaries of what's considered musical.
Okay, now that's a whole other level of artistry. It makes me think, though, with all this talk about technical skills, deadlines, clients, how does an arranger define success? Because there's got to be more to it than just getting paid, right?
You're singing my tune. And as luck would have it, our final interview question dives right into that. How do you define success as a music arranger? This is the big one.
Oh, I like this question.
Right. It separates those who simply arrange music from those who live and breathe it.
Because anyone can learn the technical stuff, but this is about passion, that deeper connection to the music.
100%. And there's no single right answer. For some, success might be hearing their work performed by a world-renowned orchestra.
Wow. Yeah.
For others, it might be seeing a packed stadium singing along to a song they helped bring to life.
Or maybe it's that moment when you realize your arrangement touched someone's heart, even if you're just listening in your own living room.
Yes.
Those little victories can mean the world.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of this career path. It's about defining your own version of success.
Yeah.
On your own terms. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, along the way, you'll change the world.
Okay. I'm getting goosebumps all over again. Seriously, this whole deep dive has been
It
eye-opening.
just shows how much more there is to music than meets the ear, you know.
100%. So to all our listeners out there who are now inspired to explore the world of music, arranging, even just listening to music with fresh ears.
Because you'll never hear a song the same way again.
Exactly. Remember, those resources we explored today, like the Music Arranger, the Complete Career Guide, those insightful interview questions, they're out there waiting for you.
Consider them your backstage pass. And who knows, maybe someday we'll be featuring your music on an episode of The Deep Dive.
Now, that's a goal worth striving for. On that note, we'll catch you next time for another deep dive. Until then, keep those ears tuned and those creative sparks flying.